There, there was a fella who, back in 1982, had not an NDE, not a near-death experience, but a DE, but a death experience. And his name was Mellon Thomas Benedict. He's from North Carolina, and he ended up writing a really long story about it. And the long story is like 20 or 25 or 30 pages. And this is an abridged edition that I want to share with you from his writings because it gives us pause for thought. This is a true story, by the way. In 1982, I died from terminal cancer. He was in his early 30s and had brain cancer. My condition was not operable. I chose not to have chemotherapy. I was given 6 to 8 months to live. Before this time, I had become increasingly despondent over the nuclear crisis. Remember, this is 1982, the ecology crisis, and all of the other crises. I came to believe that nature had made a mistake, that we were probably a cancerous organism on this planet, and that this is what eventually killed me. Before my near death experience, I tried all sorts of alternative healing methods. Nothing helped. So I determined that this was between me and God. I'd never really considered God. Neither was I into any kind of spirituality. But my approaching death sent me on a quest for more information about spirituality, about alternative healing. I read various religions, various philosophies. They gave hope that there was something on the other side. I didn't have any medical insurance, so my life savings went overnight on all the tests that had to be done. Unwilling to drag my family into this, I determined to handle this all by myself. I ended up in hospice care and was blessed with an angel for my hospice care nurse, a woman named Anne. Next little paragraph, into the light. I woke up about 4:30 a.m. and knew that this was it. I was going to die. I called a few friends and said goodbye. I woke up Anne and made her promise that my dead body would remain undisturbed for 6 hours. Since I had read that all kinds of interesting things happen when you die, I wanted to experience that fully, and I went back to sleep. The next thing I remember, I was fully aware and standing up, yet my body was laying in the bed. I seemed to be surrounded by darkness, yet I could see every room in the house, and the roof, and even under the house. A light shone. I turned toward it and was aware of its similarity to what so many others have described in near-death experiences. It was magnificent. It was tangible. It was alluring. I wanted to go towards that light like I might want to go into my ideal mother's or father's arms. And as I moved towards the light, I knew that if I went into the light, I would be dead. So I said or felt, "Please wait. I'd like to talk with you before I go." The entire experience stopped. I discovered that I was in control of this experience. My request was honored. I had conversations with the light. I guess that's the best way that I can describe it. The light changed into different figures: Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, archetypal images and signs. I asked in a sort of telepathy, what's going on here? The information transmitted to me was that our beliefs shape the kind of feedback we receive. If you're a Buddhist or Catholic, you get a feedback loop of your own images. I became aware of a higher self matrix, a conduit to the source. We all have a higher self or an oversoul, part of our being, a conduit. All higher selves are connected as one being. All we humans are connected as one being. It was probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. It was like all the love you've ever wanted. And it was the kind of love that cures, that heals, that regenerates. I was ready to go. I said, "I am ready, take me." Then the light turned into a most beautiful thing that I'd ever seen, a mandala of human souls on this planet. I saw that we people are the most beautiful creations, elegant, exotic, everything. I just cannot say enough about how it changed my opinion of human beings in an instant. I said, thought, felt, oh God, I didn't realize this. I was astonished to find that there was no evil in any soul. People may do terrible things out of ignorance and lack, but no soul is evil. What all people seek, what sustains them, is love, said the light to me. What distorts people is lack of love. The revelations went on and on. I asked, does this mean that humankind will be saved? Like a trumpet blast with a shower of spiraling lights, the light spoke, saying, you save, you redeem, you heal yourself. You always have and you always will. You were created with the power to do so from before the beginning of the world. In that instance, I realized that we have already been saved. I thank the light of God with all my heart. The best thing I could come up with was, oh, dear God, dear universe, dear great self, I love my life. The light seemed to breathe me in even more deeply, absorbing me. I entered it into a whole nother realm, more profound than the last, and was aware of an enormous stream of light, vast and full, deep. I asked what it was. The light answered, this is the river of life. Drink of this manna water to your heart's content. I drank deeply in ecstasy. Suddenly, I seemed to be rocketing away from the planet on this stream of life. I saw the earth fly away. The solar system whizzed by me and disappeared. I flew through the center of the galaxy, absorbing more and more knowledge as I went. I learned that this galaxy, the entire universe, is bursting with so many different varieties of life. I saw many worlds. We're not alone in the universe. It seemed as if all the creations in the universe soared past me and vanished in a speck of light. Then a second light appeared. As I passed into the second light, I could perceive forever, beyond infinity. I was in the void, pre-creation, the beginning of time, the first word, the first vibration. I rested in the eye of creation, and it seemed that I touched the face of God. Now understand, this was not a religious feeling. I was simply at one with absolute life and consciousness. I rode the stream directly into the center of the light. I felt embraced by the light as it took me in with its breath again. And the truth was obvious, that there is no death. Nothing is born and nothing dies. That we are immortal beings, part of a natural living system that recycles itself endlessly. It would take me years to assimilate this void experience. It was less than nothing, yet greater than anything. Creation is God exploring God's self through every way imaginable. Through every piece of hair on your head, through every leaf on every tree, through every atom, God is exploring God's self. I saw everything as the self of all. God is here. This is what it's all about. Everything is made of light. Everything is alive. I was never told that I had to come back. I just knew that I would. It was only natural from what I had seen. And as I began my return to this life cycle, it never crossed my mind, nor was I told that I would return to this very same body. It didn't matter. I had complete trust in the light and life process. And as the stream merged with the great light, I asked never to forget the revelations and the feelings of what I had learned on the other side. I thought of myself as human again. And I was happy to be that. From what I've seen, I'd be happy to be an atom in this universe. An atom! So to be the human part of God, this is the most fantastic blessing. It's a blessing beyond our wildest imagination of what a blessing can be. For each and every one of us to be the human part of this experience is awesome. It's magnificent. Each and every one of us, no matter where we are, screwed up or not, is a blessing to the planet, right where we are. So I went through the rebirthing process, expecting to be a baby somewhere. But I came back into this very body. I was so surprised that when I opened my eyes to be back in this body, back in my room with someone looking over me, crying her eyes out, it was Anne, my hospice nurse. She had found me dead 30 minutes before. We don't know how long I was dead, only that she found me 30 minutes before. She had honored my wish to have my newly dead body left alone. She can verify that I really was dead. This was not a near-death experience. I believe I probably experienced death itself for at least an hour and a half. When I later awakened and saw the light outside, confused, I tried to get up to go into it, but I fell out of bed. Anne heard a loud clunk and ran in and found me on the floor. When I recovered, I was surprised and awed about what had happened. I had no memory at first of this experience. I kept slipping in and out of this world, kept asking, am I alive? This world seemed to be more of a dream one than the previous one. Within 3 days, I was feeling normal again, clear and yet very different than ever before. My memories of the journey came back later, but from my return, I could find nothing wrong with any human being. Previous to my death, I indeed was judgmental, believing that people were really screwed up. Everyone, that is, but me. About 3 months later, a friend said I should get tested for the cancer. So I got the scans and all the testing. I felt healthy. I still remember the doctor at the clinic looking at all the test results, and he said, I don't know, I can't find any sign of cancer now. A miracle, I said? No. These things happen, spontaneous remission. He really seemed unimpressed with it all. But I was impressed because I knew it was a miracle. I asked God, what's the best religion on the planet? Which one is right? God answered with great love, it doesn't matter. What an incredible grace. It doesn't matter what religion we are. Religions come, religions go. They change. Buddhism hasn't been here forever. Christianity hasn't been here forever. And they're all about to become more enlightened. More light will come into all the systems. Many will resist and they'll fight about it, one religion against the next, believing, of course, that only they are the right one. When God said it doesn't matter, I understood that it is for us to care about because we are the caring beings. The source doesn't care if you're Protestant, Buddhist, or Jew. Each is a reflection, a facet of the whole. I wish that all religions would realize that and let each other be. It's not the end of separate religions, but live and let live. Each has a different view, and it all adds up to a big picture. I went over to the other side with a lot of fears about toxic waste, nuclear missiles, population explosion, the rainforest, and I came back loving every single problem. I love nuclear waste. I love the mushroom cloud. This is the holiest mandala that we've manifest to date as an archetype. More than any religion or philosophy on earth, that terrible, wonderful cloud brought us all together, all people of us all together, suddenly to a new level of consciousness. Knowing that maybe we can blow up the planet 50 times, maybe even 500 times. We finally realized that maybe we're all in this together now. For a period, they had to keep setting off more bombs for it to get into us, for us to realize it. Then we started saying, we don't need this stuff anymore. Now we're actually in a safer world than we've ever been. And hopefully it's going to get a lot safer. So I came back to this life loving toxic waste because it brought us all together. These things are so big. Clearing of the rainforest will eventually slow down. And in 50 years, there'll be more trees on the planet than there has been for a while. If you're into ecology, go for it. You are that part of the system that's becoming more aware. Go for it with all your might. But don't be depressed. Don't be disheartened. Earth is in the process of domesticating itself, and we are cells on the body of Earth. Population increase is getting very close to the optimal range of energy to cause a shift in consciousness. That shift in consciousness will change eventually politics, money, energy, and a lot more. The great mystery of life has little to do with intelligence. The universe is not an intellectual process. The intellect's helpful, but our hearts are the wiser parts of ourself. Since my return, I've experienced the light spontaneously. I've learned how to get to that space almost any time in my meditations. You can do this for yourself. You don't have to die first. You're wired for it already. The body is the most magnificent light being there is. The body is a universe of incredible light. We don't need to commune with God. God is already communing with us in every single moment. The end of his story. In Buddhism, we talk about light. Amitabha Buddha, the Buddha of infinite light, the Buddha of eternal light with a capital L. A few days ago, Venerable Bapu gave his Dharma talk about how everything is the flow, and yet light can appear as a wavelength or it can appear as a particle, and it's coexistent. It depends on the conditions, on the circumstances. It can be a point in time or it can be a process in time. That's what Amitabha Buddha is. Amitabha Buddha, Buddha of infinite light, one of our, in Korean Buddhism, one of our most highly revered celestial Buddhas. And in fact, is meant to be a being, a point in time, Amitabha Buddha, who resides in Sukhavati. Sukhavati, the place of joy out in the western skies, kalpas away from here. And yet is also a process. Amitabha Buddha is the process of our internal awakening inside of us, our growing into awareness, into what is, into compassionate living, into informed living. You know, when a number of you here have taken refuge in the precepts and formally become Buddhist, and when we're led in the four shout-outs, first one, great is the problem of birth and death. Being born and being dying are not points in time, although we see them as such. As Bapu Sanem said, it's a flow. We flow into birthing, we flow out of death into birthing again. It's a continual flow that's just going on and on and on. And the second shout out, impermanence surrounds us. Even though there is this eternal continuity to all, our little bodies, from the time we were born, came out of our mothers, and the time until all the cells of our body die, it's finite. That part is finite, and yet there is something, our karmic debt, that little tag of consciousness that carries on into another becoming, another rebirthing. The third shout out, be awake each moment. Be awake each moment. We've got a certain amount of time, a certain amount of years that none of us knows. So the ideal is to be ready. Be ready for when it's our time, because we never know when it's our time around the next corner. Be awake. Value, don't waste your life. And finally, do not waste your life. Life is precious. Value it, enjoy it, love heartily, love